Hello everyone, right, I'm here today to talk about piracy prevention generally, but mostly towards the speculation that's gone towards will second-hand games be blocked on the next generation consoles, the Xbox 720 and the PlayStation 4 and so on from there. And really I want to chime in on this. I'm curious if any of you have been thinking what I'm thinking here, or, you know, let me know what you think. Are you going to, if they do that and block second-hand games from working on the consoles, you know, the knee-jerk reaction from a lot of people is, I'm not buying games anymore then, blah, blah, blah. Or I'll play on the mobile, I'll play on whatever other readily cheaper things there will be. And obviously, games on the next generation will remain the same price as well, so you know, about £45 on release, thereabouts, high street. So let's take a look then at the issue and how we can deal with it, because I think the problem is that those in power have to realise that they can't take a traditional approach to these things anymore. Technology is a very fast moving commodity, and as it changes, the way we use it changes. The way that we access data and information now is more immediate, more on demand, yeah? And people want everything all the time now. They don't want to wait. They want to be able to digitally get access to it or stream it. Giving people services like that, such as, say, Spotify, to be able to stream music automatically, they have to make sure that they give everyone a fair deal all round. Because if they don't, for instance, in the case of Spotify, I saw some dissenters saying they didn't think it was fair because it changed the way that they looked at music. It sort of cheapened their music buying choices, and they still went out and bought a CD. Or maybe because whenever a thing was played, the original artist didn't get that much towards it, and they actually make more money from people going out and downloading the music under normal means and so on. That's obviously a system that's been put in place to not support its own infrastructure, and therefore, long term, if it carried on like that, not supporting the artists, then its own infrastructure, non-supported, would weaken or collapse, and the middle would fall out of it. Hence, you know, what you're trying to enjoy, you've enjoyed too much. It's like having a meadow of flowers and you've picked too many. You know, there is no meadow of flowers left. You've put them all in your vase. People have to be given a fair deal, because the creator is just as important as the consumer too. And he has to be put there just as important, because you know he has to be given the reason to keep creating rather than doing something else with his life and maybe trying to actually earn some proper money in this even harder declining economical situation. Computer games then, when the new consoles come out, they'll have an always online connected ability, and it's speculated that maybe the new Xbox will have a feature to block second-hand games being played. PS4 may still go that way as well. We know that Sony have famously been applying for patents to do that very thing. Both consoles have got some great ideas with lots of new online integration happening here, but could this crucial idea make or break the community if it actually happens? Well, let's take a look at it. I would argue that it isn't necessarily all doom and gloom, and we should take maybe a leaf out of other people's books who have already been successful, as long as they do it properly. Let's take a look at the nature of second-hand games. Discs that are second-hand, firstly. There is a lot of outlets that make actually the majority of their profits, indeed, on second-hand games. We've got a lot of these shops now, such as Game and CEX and Game Station. That's my United Kingdom frame of reference. I don't know what you've got over in your countries, okay? But in those stores, they either try and incentivize pre-release purchases with codes giving like special skin stuff or extra guns or a bonus unlock of something code. Obviously would incentivize some people to make purchases. I think deep down the majority of people are a little bit frustrated by it, but the sort of the notion of feeling like they're being made to have to buy it new, or other people will get that leg up over them. And I think, you know, the second-hand scene is so big now. When you go into somewhere like Game and you see their second-hand games collection, and they're really pushing and pushing all the time, aren't they? And they connect a lot of their promotions to their second-hand games. You know, 2 for 20, 2 for 10, pre-owned sale now on. Trade in any 2 games and get this new release one for 99p. And that is actually to get new off the shelves and actually take hold of pre-owned. They want pre-owned. They're saying, give me your pre-owned, give me, because we sell them great. You know, it's a good money maker for us. The games companies don't appear to like that. They don't appear to like their discs being sold again. And the only reason for that would be, obviously, lack of profits. Some companies have got around that by putting things like online passes in place. And that's even just to do the online corporational thing that you might do with your friends or whoever online through the one-player storyline type component. I know that Syndicate has done that, for example. So that I know that if you try buying the second-hand version of that for, say, £12, and you think, oh, I'm getting okay bargain there, you know, it's pre-owned. Obviously, it doesn't have the online code in it anymore because that's been used by the original purchaser, and the online code costs like £8. So then the game's suddenly 20 quid, and you've only bought it for the online component, perhaps. Maybe you've only bought it so you can co-op with your buddies, and they're all doing that and then buying that. So the company's trying to say, we want to extract something again for that second-hand purchase. It's a poor frame, not supporting the infrastructure. Why does the frame of the vendors not cooperationally have something set up where an equal percentage, as would be found on the first-hand purchase, not also paid to the company for a second-hand purchase? Or if it is, what's the problem? Because that solves it. They could even do that and have the online odd code as well, and then they're really laughing. What's the issue here? Is it that someone's being greedy and saying, all the second-hand profits, we've got something set up there, and I'm ignorant to this, so I don't know, that, okay, we don't have to pay any of the developers or anyone in association to this monies now, because, you know, it's a second-hand purchase, we get the entirety of it. You know, if that's the case, then greed is ruining it for everyone. That needs to be reversed, turned around, if that's the case, so that second-hand discs aren't an issue, we don't all have to panic. Now, if everybody's too stupid and can't resolve this, and it all ends up as this anti-piracy thing anyway, with, you know, second-hand discs effectively being just coasters as soon as you've took the game and like a PC game, effectively, you know, those ones with the activation codes. We've seen with electronic releases that, yes, it's nice because you can get it instantly. You don't have to go into shops. You know, it lessens all the queues and everything else. But again, it weakens the high street chain. It takes people out of jobs. It would make a lot of the games industry presence on the high street probably have to close due to massive loss of its main sales revenue being second-hand games. And obviously there's a lot of sort of multimedia outlets such as HMV, who are sort of a bit like that, aren't they? Who have obviously realised that games are a big seller, and they made that their ground floor presentation too. With games being such a big business, if we look at the nature of downloads, the biggest criticism that has been so far up to this point, and you know that slightly might be changing here and there, has been that games have been priced too dear compared to what we could pay for it second hand. Okay, so by the time a game that was £45, or say £40 as a download cost, has gone down to say £15, £12, something like that, on the second-hand scene as a disc, they would still have it as a downloadable price for, say, I don't know, £30 or £40 even. And a sale might be called 20-something pounds, while, you know, it's maybe half that price in the shop. Everyone's going to get the second-hand disc, hence we've got spite biting here. No one really focusing and looking at the issue as it should be, as it deserves to be. Things do go down in price eventually. Some things do get put on sort of temp sales and such, and that's nice. You can take advantage of those things, and sometimes they're actually now beating the high street. Now, if they had it that it was incrementally coming down in value past its release date, in a way, it doesn't even have to be as quick as the high street retailer, as long as they have an incremental, consistent reduction scheme on all downloadable content, that it effectively will age, it will decay in price over time. Whatever that time frame be, you know, even if it's wait 3 months before the first one and then, you know, 3 more months before the next bit of one. I don't mind waiting maybe a year and a half. There's a lot of games out there to still play that are really old, you know, to get hold of, so I can busy myself playing them as well, cheaply, or replaying some of those gems. Now, if they put something like that in place, then it's less of a problem, right? But will they have the presence of mind to do that? Then the other issue is this. If you download it, who owns the content? Who owns the download? Are you paying them so that you can borrow it effectively, or do you now own it? Could you leave your downloads in a will? Well, that has recently come up in America, I think it was, and there was some sort of legal procedure investigating that very thing, and they came up with effectively, I think the answer was yes, you do own your downloads. So, although I think that might be, again, you know, country specific, not too certain, not too big up on all the whole law thing. I tend to find that laws can be a bit of an ass, just generally anyway, so, you know, I try not to give it too much of my time and just use personal reasoning instead, and make suggestions like this very video is. Again, the whole idea of arguing, do you own it? No, you don't own it. Yes, I do. No, you don't. Yes, I do. Both voices of dissent can be muted by having a good, strong idea in place in the middle to mediate. Right? And you lead by example. Inspire those around you. Would be something along the lines of what, like, I've heard Steam are either doing or are planning to do. Content that has already been downloaded by people, tradable, so that you could trade it pre-owned. Now, a player trading it pre-owned. That's an interesting idea, isn't it? How could that work? Well, if the companies put enough emphasis on it, you know, if the Microsofts and Sonys out there, you know, gave a crap enough, they could say, we are going to control the entire structure of this. Control equals profit, right? So they could say, right, okay, you buy it, you activate the game, you generate a code, or we give you a code. That code's now connected to your account. No one else can use that code. However, you can now sell the game to someone else at a fixed rate that we nominate, not you, the pre-owned rate that you can sell it for. That pre-owned rate will then go into your account to let you buy more games, effectively making a part exchange only, getting rid of the sell for cash system, which I'd be fine with because gamers want a game and want to game some more. So, and part exchange is always a better rate than cash, so I always only personally do part exchange. And if it's got to be a download system, we have to mediate, then that would be a reasonable way of doing it, where they control the system. They say, yes, you can sell it on the market, buy pre-owned instead for such and such, I mean, people might not have such a reason to even buy new anymore. But, again, those codes that normally come out with new releases, pre-order releases, those codes could retain with the new versions continuously. So that they could say, well, I could pay the extra and get the code stuff, or I could do this and maybe I can buy it as DLC. Right, I'm not saying it's already definitely the solution, it's fully mapped out. I've come up with this jotting it down like on the back of a napkin as an idea. But, if they fully support and control their own structure, they can say, yes, we need to make this much profit, but we'll share it out to you so you can get it cheaper, and we'll also profit on that. So you get a bit of that and we get a bit of that too. Okay, so it will cost that, and then it goes on to him, and then he's paying for that, and some of that goes to him, and some of that goes to us, and we're making some more profit. The different companies could have something set up, high street outlets, or their website versions at least, if the high street outlet goes down as a brick and mortar presence, could support still their own versions. Hey, buy it online now. On the front of your desktop screen, buy it now through game and get such and such code, or buy it through now such and such and get this exclusive, or whatever. Again, the exclusives for pre-orders is something they want to do anyway. A bit more annoying for pre-orders, but if it's something always available, maybe not so bad, because at that point you'd say, well, I love this game so much that I actually don't want to wait, I want to buy this on release, so I'm going to get this. They could further incentivize, in fact, by saying, yes, alright, whenever you buy a game completely on release, then you can access things like season passes, either free or at a reduced rate. Give you reason to not trade in electronically the code for the usage of your game so you can't play it anymore. And that would be the integral part. Once you've traded it off and sold it to someone online, and it would all be through their own sales system, marketplace system, right? That you can't play it anymore. It's gone, and it is now attached to this person's account, not yours. You might have the download, but the game won't work because it would register that it is de-attached. Anyway, these are some ideas. Going forward, things are changing, so we have to change. We have to change the infrastructure, but however we change it, we have to make sure that it does exactly what an infrastructure must do, and that is support that which is important. Support the central column, support the ethos, and support the people, the customers, and the creators. This has been Robert James Freemantle with some thoughts about technology. Leave your comments underneath. Chime in. What do you think about these ideas? Can you think of something different? And of course, if they do bring this in and don't implement some sort of mediating plan, is this it for you? Or are you just going to spend a heck of a lot less on games now?